welcome to Prep Focus on Football. It's week 3 of the high school football season. I'm Tim Ahrens, senior sports writer for the Daily Journal. Across from me is the man, the myth, Steve Susi. And we're going to be looking at 5 football games this week. And let's jump right into it, Steve, with Kankakee at Hubbard.
An interesting test for the Case. I mean, they're going up and playing one of the perennially best Chicago Public League teams that are around. Last year it was an excellent game that went into overtime, and Hubbard survived for a victory. I'd expect more of the same this week, and Kankakee needs to keep the momentum going from a win last week over Thornridge, where they cleaned up a lot of the mistakes that they had in their opening week game against Bradley.
Your pick?
I'm going to go with Kankakee in this one. I think the momentum is moving along in the right direction for them, and they'll have an opportunity to use a lot of their running backs against Hubbard.
Well, I'm going to take Hubbard, and here's why. Well, they're 2-0, first of all. Kankakee's 1-1. Kankakee has to travel up to Gately, and that's a big deal, I think. And I think sometimes high school players lose that a little bit. Next, we got Lincoln Way West coming to Bradley Bourbonnais. Both teams are 2-0. What do you know about Lincoln Way West?
Lincoln Way West is one of the more surprising teams in the south suburbs. They've gotten out of the gate at 2-0. They beat Crete Monee, a well-respected team, last week. But they probably don't have quite enough to get at Bradley Bourbonnais, even though they do have a spy in their midst. Assistant coach Jake Zeich is a graduate of Bradley Bourbonnais High School, played football there. He was also the head coach at Manteno. So he'll have intricate knowledge of what the Boilers are trying to accomplish.
And you're picking?
I'm going to go with Bradley.
Bradley sounds good here. I think they're diversified on offense and a pretty good defensive team. So next up on Saturday, McNamara will travel to Westchester to play St. Joseph. And to be honest, St. Joseph is not very good.
Since this is a football game, I'm taking the Irish. If it were a basketball game, I'd be taking St. Joseph probably in a walk. Obviously, basketball history, historians know that St. Joseph was featured in the basketball documentary Hoop Dreams, and the Chargers really, really prefer the round ball to the pigskin.
We're both going to take Mac, I assume. Give me a rushing figure for Maurice Shoemaker, who had a good week last week.
I say he probably will have about 200 in limited action.
Probably running clock, yes. All right, next up we have the most interesting game on the schedule. Plano will come to Manteno. Plano is 2-0. Manteno is 0-2 with 2 overtime losses. What do you know about Plano?
Plano is what they usually are. They're a pretty sturdy team. They run the football. They play good defense. It's hard to tell exactly how good they are. They've played a couple of weaker opponents in the I-8 yet so far this season. So knowing exactly how good the Reapers are will probably be determined a lot by what happens over the next couple of weeks. Manteno desperately needs this game. At 0-2 with 2 overtime losses, they need to get back on track here to keep their slowly dwindling playoff hopes alive.
And you're picking?
I'm going to go in the grand minority just due to the fact that Manteno needs this game a whole heck of a lot more than Plano. I think this is their season right here, so they're going to have to get on track. They're at home. I know it's a minority pick, but that's the way that I'm going to go.
Oh, I find that kind of surprising, considering you pumped up Plano so much. Plano's the Reapers, and I think that's fitting this week because if Manteno loses, their playoff lives really are close to being over. So, but I'm going to pick Plano and kind of scratch my head at your pick there. That's kind of strange. But our last game this week will be Piatone at Coal City. Both teams are 1-1.
A battle of 2 Interstate 8 teams that are trying to define themselves at this point in time. Piatone's probably still licking their wounds a little bit from a bad loss to Wilmington last week. And Coal City did a nice job of regrouping last week from a tough week 1 loss. So both of them are looking to get some momentum heading into their conference seasons, which start this week. I'm going to go with Coal City. It's primarily based on tradition and the fact that the Coalers are at home and they're always tough there.
I like both teams. I like both coaches. This is my quarter pick, which means I took a quarter out, flipped it, and it landed for Coal City. They're also at home, which I think might mean a little bit more when they shoot off the fireworks and all that. If do they still shoot off fireworks at Coal City?
So that's the science behind your picking.
Quarters and fireworks. Yes.
Fair enough.
Okay, player of the week last week was who, and what did he do?
Maurice Shoemaker piled up 266 yards on 22 carries and scored all 4 of Bishop McNamara's touchdowns last week. Shoemaker's the area leader in rushing, and I would guess that this week he'll just be adding a large number to that total and increase his lead possibly. So Shoemaker will be heading on Saturday to Westchester St. Joe, and he'll probably have a field day there.
Okay. Well, busy weekend this coming weekend. Where are you going to be?
I'll be up in the city for both games this week. On Friday, I'm traveling to Gately to see Kankakee and Hubbard, and on Saturday, I'll be over at Westchester with St. Joseph and the Irish.
Okay. Well, if you happen to be at those games, run down the sidelines and see Seuss. He likes popcorn. You can bring him some, and make sure you grab a Thursday edition of the Daily Journal to read our Prep Focus section. It will give you all the staff picks on all the games. And next week is week 4, and we'll be right back here. We'll see you then.